Hello, everyone. My name is Veridiana Hernandez, and today I will be reviewing Think Like a Freak, a book by Stephen D. Levitt and Stephen J. Dubner, authors of Freakonomics. In this presentation, I will be going over a brief summary. What does it mean to think like a freak? Key messages and application to future career or life and anecdotes within. This book is a collection of stories to get the reader to think outside the box, to think more differently and creatively. The authors challenge the reader with various ideas to put away your moral compass, learn to say I don't know, learn to ask the right questions, find the root causes of the problem, think like a child, and have fun, learn how to persuade those who do not want to be persuaded, and how there may be an upside to quitting. And most importantly, don't be afraid to think like a freak. So, what does it mean to think like a freak? All of the above. To think like a freak means to get out of the box, explore, and to not be afraid. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know, or to ask a different question than the one that is typically asked. Because by asking the right question, you can redefine the problem. Don't be afraid to think like a child, have fun, and don't fear the obvious. Learn how to persuade those who do not want to be persuaded. How? By telling stories that fill the whole picture. See the upside to quitting, whether it be a job, a goal, or a dream. Quitting can be hard due to it being seen as a failure, and when you quit something unattainable, you can see the benefits. Now, I will delve into some key messages. There are many messages in this book that all tie together on how to think like a freak, but I will hit a few main ones and that particularly sat well with me. Learn to say I don't know. The author said a point that many people are afraid to say I don't know and would rather answer and get it wrong than admitting they did not know it in the first place. Why? According to the authors, by admitting that you do not know something, you are basically admitting what you need to learn. However, it is important that you do admit it because only then will you get feedback. They state that the key to learning is feedback, and without it, you cannot learn anything. They suggest that you, instead of answering what you don't know, you should say, I don't know, but maybe I can find out, and to work hard to do that, and that you may be surprised by how receptive people can be to your confession, especially when you do come back a day or so later with a real answer. The author states that it takes a lot of courage to admit you don't know all the answers, but it can be just as hard to admit that you don't even know the right question, and that if you ask the wrong question, you are guaranteed to get the wrong answer. An example they give is the one about the school system. One may ask, what's wrong with our schools? When the right question to be asked should be, why do American kids know less than kids from Estonia and Poland? By asking the question in this form, it allows you to look for answers in different places. The authors also urge you to make sure, when solving a problem, to not attack the noisy part that captures your attention. It is important to properly define the problem or redefine the problem. By doing that, you can discover a new set of solutions. When failure is demonized, people will try to avoid it at all costs, even when it represents nothing more than a temporary setback. It is hard to quit because quitting is equated with failure and nobody likes to fail. However, failure should not be considered a total loss. The authors state that once you start thinking like a freak and run experiments, you will find that failure can provide valuable feedback. Quitting is at the very core of thinking like a freak, but to many it can seem a frightening word, and thus a better way to say it would be letting go. Let go of the conventional wisdoms that torment you, let go of the artificial limits that hold you back, and of the fear of admitting that you do not know. I can apply these to my future career in many ways. I will be honest, I am terrible at admitting when I do not know something. Instead, I choose to pretend I know and later on will investigate the answer to know it for future reference. I know that is something I should work on, admitting when I don't know something. This is especially important for my career when speaking with a patient or client. If I don't know something, I will say, I don't know, but I can find out. I would rather admit I don't know than to give them the wrong information because that could come back and bite me. Plus, the patient client may appreciate my honesty. When counseling a patient or client, I should know how to ask the right questions. For example, when I was in my week rotation, I asked a client as part of the questionnaire, "Do you smoke?" And her answer was no. However, my preceptor informed me that a better question would be to ask, "How many cigarettes do you smoke in a day?" A client can easily say no, but when asking a question in that format, it can then make them think, "Oh, they are on to me," for example, and it does not allow for them to say a quick yes or no. Learning to quit is also important for a career. If an approach is not working out with a patient or client, it is important to know when to stop and figure something else out. In applying this to life in general, it is hard to say how I would. I find that I have an easier time admitting what I don't know to family, friends, or strangers than I would in my field. I could perhaps work on knowing how to ask a question to be able to better phrase it in a better way. And quitting, that one is hard for me. I tend to not know when to quit and tend to fill my plate up with many unnecessary things that in the end I want to quit it all. The authors and myself urge you to learn how to say I don't know which questions to ask, and realize that quitting may not be all bad. So do not be afraid to think outside the box. Be more creative. Think like a child and have fun. Go ahead, think like a freak. Thank you for listening.